Well, when you talk about parliamentary button,
yes.
when you talk about definition
yes.
of the word corruption,
yes.
does that suggest that we are not all on the same page?
No, we are not on the same page at all. I give you a very simple analogy again. Take a man who is a deputy director. He must have put in 25 years to become a deputy director. That man earns about 200,000 naira max. If you take 1/3 of his salary, which is what is globally accepted, you are coming to less than 70,000. Multiply that by 12, you are getting less than 900,000. Tell me which house costs 900,000 for a man who has put in 25 years of service to live. Will you get a 2-bedroom apartment for 900,000? Likelihood is no. Unless he's going to go to Ajah, or he's going to go to Mararaba, or he's going to go to the Interlands. Will you like to, after putting in 25 years of service to your country, and you've got into a position of a deputy director, don't you think you are entitled to a decent 3-bedroom apartment? What I'm trying to say is that 90 to 100% of civil servants, let's start from there, live in houses that are a minimum of 60 to 100% of their rent. For instance, that deputy director, his salary is about 2.4 million. He's living in a bedroom, a 3-bedroom or whatever, which is going to cost about 2.3 million, 2.5 million, or 2 million, which is 100% of his resources.
Are you implying that the system is encouraging the corruption that we see?
Exactly. There's a part of corruption which is instituted by the system. There's a part of corruption which is induced by greed. I will be glad if Mr. President, in starting, looks at greed-induced corruption. These people that are taking billions, they are not taking billions to live in a decent house or send the children to school or health care. No, they are taking billions out of greed. So if we can start, because the problem is so humongous that we need to define. There are certain things that just have to give.
Mr. Ezekiel,
yes.
Now, there's some people that will argue with you here.
Yes.
Your submission, it seems to be encouraging corruption. Because you're saying, if someone's taking billions to send his children to school, or he's taking billions to take someone to send someone to hospital, or to take care of his community because there's no light, people are dying every day, so he's stealing billions, that's allowed?
No, that's corruption of greed. I'm telling you,
no, it's
not allowed.
It's not allowed. That corruption is take care of some
greed.
experiences. No, you talked about a deputy.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. Why must your child, as a civil servant, go to Imperial University on your account? You can't afford. But he can go to a decent school here. But he must go to school. I'm asking you, a deputy director, I keep still coming to that. He earns 200,000. He has 2 children in the university. There's nothing wrong with that. We're talking of basics. He has a wife that is undergoing maternity. There's nothing wrong with that. He needs to live in a house. There's nothing wrong with that. If you are to aggregate that, there are 2 ways to solve that problem. Number 1 is that you give him the education. He doesn't have to pay for it. Number 2 is that you make the house available to him, so he's thinking of his basic upkeep. So cost of education, cost of housing is deleted. What is remaining is his upkeep. 200,000 will take it. But if he must pay for the 2 children in school, if he must pay for his house and his health care and be able to eat and drive to work, extrapolate that and tell me how 18,000 naira works for even a single person. But we do have a problem as a nation. The money we have is not endless. If we do not get it right with corruption in this regime and administration, it's going to take a long time for us to do that. That is why we must come to a point of being very realistic with ourselves. We are very fake in a lot of ways. Because you are talking corruption, the civil servant is sitting down there, who is your foot soldier, and he's just looking at you. We're talking of the police being given a marching order, or the service chiefs. They are going to use the police to do the work. And this guy, have you taken a look at the police on the street? Have you known that out of 10 of them, they are wearing 10 different pairs of shoes? They are wearing 10 different types of uniforms? What have you done? What is the insurance of this person? Have you looked at the remuneration? What is the insurance cover you are giving him? What is the kitting? What is the welfare that will make him to say, come on, let's go? But I want to appeal that we cannot wait till all these things are done. Let us agree with Mr. President that we've got a war, but let also the system, they say hope is the anchor that stabilizes the soul. Let the system give the body language, policeman, I'm going to look into your case. You know, just the thought that you are going to look into his case can motivate him.
If you say, if we don't get it right in this administration, in these 4 years, you know, many will ask you, but wait a minute, 16 years the PDP was there. If we're still talking about it now, so why would you give just say 4 years?
That's what, no. If you quote me right, if we don't get it right, it means
in
that
4 years.
With this present, the emphasis is not the years, it's the man. I didn't vote for President Buhari. I didn't. Let me shock you a little bit. But I want to tell you that government is like music. I could have wanted to vote for Mr. Housing. I could have wanted to vote for Mr. Education. But today, there is Mr. Corruption or anti-corruption. Do we need it? Yes, we need it. And because he is there, we have a man that has about, if you talk in terms of social housing, with all modesty, I will stand up and raise my head. But when you talk of corruption, with every sense of responsibility, we have a man that stands, and the whole country, irrespective of side or divide, said yes. So what do we do? My passion is to make sure that we don't drop this ball.
Talking about what we need to do, lots of the public opinion is awash with all kinds of opinion there. But for those who are crying wolf about how it's being executed, you think they have a point?
Yeah, they do have a point.
What
because
point?
I'll tell you what the point is. The first thing is that first, the president is a lot more exposed, more experienced, more enlightened, more whatever in this area than I am. But if I were to have suggested something, I would have said that he should draw a line from today. The past is such, if you drive a car, you realize your windscreen is so large and your rear mirror is so small. You need the rear mirror, but you must concentrate on the windscreen, which is larger. If you look at the past, Mr. President cannot get away so easily because PDP under President Jonathan is APC under his watch.
How?
So, because 90% or 80% of the people there were the people, like if you look at Governor Amechi, if you look at Governor Amechi, the real power that made the difference, either PDP or PDP sympathizer or something 2 years back, 3 years back.
People say there was some, but you say it's 80%.
Okay, let's leave the percentage, 30%, 40%, 50%. But what I'm saying is that a good percentage and the foot soldiers were PDP members.
In other words,
just don't go into that distraction.
What is the distraction?
Carry us on,
last administration
as a major thing. It would happen without even people knowing. I'm here with Mr. President. I've got to move Nigeria forward. I've come here as a president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as from today.
So what happens to the monies? Assuming people freight us
We have institutions that are doing their work. I don't get into the controversy. EFCC is doing its work. The police, the ICPC, but I'm not getting people to weigh me down because I ask a very simple question. They will ask you, what do you do with Mr. Amechi? If you drop him, they say you're ungrateful. If you carry him, they say, double speak. Okay? I'm not saying I'm talking of public perception. It might be that Mr. Clean. So the bottom line for me is, if Mr. President says Nigerians, as from today, we are moving forward, so that if you dare go back, and at the same time, they give, like EFCC, you know the Americans, they have the seal. They don't take care of every fight. They look at specific fights. EFCC has no business looking into problems of 1 billion, 3 billion, when we have thousands of people that have stolen blind, hundreds of thousands of billions.
Is a lot of money.
Yeah, I agree. But start from the top.
Look into 1 billion.
Start from the top. It's a strategy.
Okay.
Start from the top. By the time you catch a man that has stolen 2 billion, it is better for you. Get more money than 200 people that stole 100,000. It's
Mr. Nya-Etok Ezekiel, thank you very much indeed for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.